Ever feel like your debts are like a horde of zombies relentlessly pursuing you? Well, there's a magic word that can make them disappear. Bankruptcy. Yes, you heard it right. Bankruptcy, a term that may sound intimidating, is actually a legal process designed to provide relief to those who are overwhelmed by their financial obligations. Imagine you're in a courtroom, and the judge declares you or your business unable to repay the debts. This declaration is the first step in the bankruptcy process. It's like hitting the pause button on a video game when the enemies become too many. Next, you surrender your assets. Think of it as a grand garage sale where all your possessions, from your favorite recliner to your prized stamp collection, are up for grabs. These assets are then distributed among your creditors, those pesky zombies we talked about earlier. It's a way of making peace with them, offering them a part of your world so they can leave you alone. Bankruptcy. It's like a game of Monopoly where you're forced to give up your properties, but in real life. So, you've decided to play the bankruptcy card. What does this mean for your assets and your debts? Well, let's dive right into it. Bankruptcy, in its simplest terms, is a court-based procedure where an individual or a business is declared incapable of repaying their debts. It's like waving a white flag in the face of financial adversity. When you file for bankruptcy, you're essentially surrendering your assets to be distributed among your creditors. Think of it as a grand yard sale, where your belongings are sold off to repay your debts. But don't worry, not everything is up for grabs. Certain possessions, like your primary home and car, might be exempted in some cases. One of the benefits of filing for bankruptcy is that it wipes clean your unsecured debts. Unsecured debts are those not backed by an asset, such as credit card bills or medical debts. It's like having a magic eraser that wipes away these debts, giving you a fresh financial start. But it's not all rainbows and butterflies. Bankruptcy does not cover secured debts, those backed by an asset like a house or a car. So if you have a mortgage or a car loan, your lenders can still repossess your property to recover their money. Another point to note is that bankruptcy can put a halt to creditor harassment. You know those pesky calls and letters demanding payment? They will stop once you file for bankruptcy. It's like a giant do not disturb sign for your financial life. However, remember that bankruptcy is not a financial cure-all. It's a relief measure, a way to get your head above water when you're drowning in debt. But it's not a free ride and does come with its own set of consequences. Think of it like a diet. It might help you lose some weight, but you're not going to drop 100 pounds overnight. So, you're ready to file for bankruptcy. What's the process? Picture yourself in a maze, trying to find your way out. That's what the bankruptcy process can feel like. But fear not, we're here to help you navigate. The first step is an assessment of your assets and income. Think of it as a financial inventory. You'll need to take stock of everything you own, from your house and car, right down to the last penny in your piggy bank. This also includes your income, whether you're earning from a job, a business, or even a trust fund. Now this is where it gets interesting. Enter the trustees, the unsung heroes of the bankruptcy process. They're like the referees in a game, ensuring fair play. Once you've filed for bankruptcy, these trustees step in. They are responsible for taking that inventory you just did and distributing your assets among your creditors. Sounds simple enough, right? But here's the catch. The trustees don't just randomly distribute your assets. They follow a specific pecking order, which is based on the type of debt. Secured debts like mortgages and car loans usually get first dibs, followed by unsecured debts like credit cards and medical bills. But wait, there's more. The trustees also have the power to challenge certain transactions you made before filing for bankruptcy. Sold your yacht to your cousin for $1 just before filing? The trustees might just reverse that sale and bring the yacht back into your bankruptcy estate. So there you have it. The bankruptcy process is a complex dance between you, your creditors, and the trustees. It's a bit like going through an audit, but with a potential light at the end of the tunnel. Bankruptcy isn't all rainbows and unicorns. There are some serious pros and cons to consider. Let's delve into the world of bankruptcy, a place where the sun doesn't always shine. But before we do, let's get something straight. Filing for bankruptcy is kind of like deciding to get a tattoo on your face. It might seem like the only option in some situations, but it's certainly not a decision to be taken lightly. On the upside, bankruptcy can be a life preserver in a sea of debt. It can wipe clean, unsecured debts, providing a fresh start. It's like pressing the reset button on your finances. It can also put an end to a constant barrage of calls from creditors. It's like having a big, burly bodyguard who can tell those pesky debt collectors to buzz off. But bankruptcy isn't a magic wand that makes all your financial troubles disappear. On the downside, it doesn't prevent secured creditors from repossessing your property. If you're behind on your car payments or your mortgage, bankruptcy won't keep the repo man at bay. Moreover, it leaves a stain on your financial history, which can last for up to 10 years. Think of it like a bad tattoo. It's there for everyone to see, and it takes a long time to fade. It can make it harder to get credit, buy a home, or even get a job. Filing for bankruptcy also involves surrendering some of your assets. This could mean saying goodbye to that vintage guitar collection or that shiny sports car you've worked so hard for. In the grand scheme of things, bankruptcy is a balancing act. It can provide relief, but it also comes with significant drawbacks. So if you're considering this path, take a step back. Ask yourself if you're ready to deal with the repercussions. Seek professional advice. Don't rush into it like a late-night decision to get a face tattoo. It's a bit like deciding to get a tattoo on your face. There are some situations where it might be a good idea, but you really want to think it through first. You filed for bankruptcy. Now what? Is there a life after bankruptcy? Well, absolutely. Picture bankruptcy as a giant reset button. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's also an opportunity to start afresh. Now let's talk about the road to recovery, rehabilitation. This is a term you'll want to get familiar with. Rehabilitation is the process that occurs after a minimum of 10 years following bankruptcy. Yes, you heard it right, 10 long years. But remember, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is your credit score. This decade-long journey isn't just about waiting for your credit history to clear. It's about learning, growing, and improving your financial management. It's a time to revisit your spending habits, explore new avenues for income, and perhaps even delve into the world of financial literacy. It's about making sure you don't stumble back into the pit you've just climbed out of. But hey, don't let this scare you. Throughout this period, you're not alone. There are professionals out there who can guide you, financial advisors who can help you plan your future, and support groups to remind you that you're not the only one navigating these choppy waters. Use them, learn from them, grow with them. And remember, bankruptcy isn't a life sentence. It's just a chapter in your financial story. And like any good story, it's full of ups and downs. You've hit a down, sure, but that just means there's an up waiting around the corner. The road to rehabilitation is paved with resilience, patience, and a whole lot of discipline. But at the end of it, you'll find a stronger, wiser, financially savvier you. So, let's change the narrative. Let's stop looking at bankruptcy as a dead end and start seeing it as a detour, a chance to reroute and find a better path forward. It's not going to be easy, but then again, nothing worth having ever is. So that's the lowdown on bankruptcy. A magic word, but not one to be used lightly. Bankruptcy, as we've discussed, isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, but a court-based procedure declaring an individual or business unable to repay debts. It involves surrendering assets to be distributed among creditors, and while it can wipe out unsecured debts and stop creditor harassment, it doesn't prevent secured creditors from repossessing property or cover secured debts. Remember, filing for bankruptcy in places like South Africa requires an assessment of assets and income, with trustees responsible for distributing assets among creditors. We also touched on the pros and cons of filing for bankruptcy and how the road to rehabilitation begins after a minimum of 10 years. The most important takeaway? Always seek professional advice before deciding to file for bankruptcy. Remember, life isn't just about collecting properties, it's about managing them wisely. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and stick around for more financial wisdom. After all, knowledge is the best investment you can make.